Wow. Ooh, 229. Come on, this thing's moving slow. There we go. 230. 230. Let me see. I know there's a couple people that haven't logged in yet. Johnny, I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Bruce, I'm gonna keep an eye on this. Guys, good afternoon. Happy Monday. There they come. There they come. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Good start to your Monday. Getting ready to hit the field and with the right plans. As you know, we started last week talking about the 8-step process to your prosperity. And your prosperity comes from not just your effort that you're putting out there, but the efficiency at which you are putting forth the effort. So last week we hit the first start of planning with 10 blocks, 4-week forecast. Bruce hit the extraction of leads. Bruce, glad to see you on here again with us. Today we're going to talk about PACs. And here's the thing, I was talking with an agency director just this weekend, and they were like, this training that we're doing, I mean, I already know how to pull leads, and I already know how to do PACs and everything else. Well, this is the thing. We're teaching you not just how to do it, but how to do it better, how to do it more efficiently. Even some calls that I had last week after the training, even knowing how to use the 10 blocks and the 4-week forecast. We've been extracting leads for years and years and years, and yet Gerald brought some new things on the paperwork. Bruce brought some new things on the extraction, and even in going through this PowerPoint that Johnny Bragg is going to be presenting to us today, there's better ways to do what we've been doing. So I challenge you, come in here with an open mind, 30 minutes of putting the heat on to help you get the biggest ROI on your time. And so without further ado, Johnny Bragg, agency director, been with us for, I don't know, Johnny, 18 years or better. You've started offices, you have built offices, you've hired, you've trained, you developed. I mean, I don't know how many PACs you've probably done through the years. I dare say at least 100, maybe 100,000. But in that, why don't you go ahead and jump in with a brief introduction of yourself, and then dive into this PowerPoint training, and then I'll catch up at the end.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. And good afternoon, Kennington Agency. I know y'all are probably should be done with your PACs, working on your building your routes and research and everything like that. Well, like Brian said, my name is Johnny Bragg. I'm currently the agency director in Richmond Hill. I've been part of this agency since 2012. I've transferred to other states, helped open up offices all across the country. But the Kennington Agency is where I like to call home. So when Brian brought this to me to kind of help with some of the training processes, he put PAC calls on my plate because, like he said, as long as I've been doing this, I've probably, committed and completed well in the thousands of PAC calls. And in that, PAC calling, it has to be done with intentional purpose. So I'm going to get into the PowerPoint that I put together for y'all to share with y'all today. But I want to make sure that your leadership had passed out 2 printouts, which should be in front of you. One should be your script, which everybody should always have during PAC call time, which I'll touch base on that here in a second. And then the other thing is a suggested call clinic culture checklist. This is available in agent services because PAC calling should be a culture in the room. It should be, providing I guess what the kids would call nowadays a vibe. Like that room should just be echoing with PAC calls being done, just catching the energy and everybody having a good time with it. So I'm going to get into this PowerPoint, and definitely I know you're going to gain some value of the things that I've got to share with you today. So first, I want to ask you a question. Why are PAC calls a must? So the first question that associates with that is, have you ever navigated to a business on your route and it was no longer at that location, or they were completely out of business? I mean, if you've been doing this for, at least a week, that has probably never happened to you, right? I mean, of course it has. So also, have you ever walked into a business and the name on file that you have for a person had passed away like 3 or 4 years ago or is no longer working there? I mean, what an embarrassing time that is. And when you're told those things, it could be a deflation of confidence. And now you're trying to work from um, kind of a position of weakness instead of a position of strength. So PAC calling will set you up for effective walk-ins for success. It's the first step of a proven system and keeps your hopper full. I mean, it's the recipe for successful results. I tell everybody, I mean, I don't know if, all the men in the Kennington agency do this, but I'm sure probably all the women have. I mean, bake the cake or some cupcakes or some brownies. But whenever you're cooking, there's a recipe for that successful dish that you're cooking. I mean, this is the first ingredient to a successful week. Why would you ever want to take that ingredient out? You have to make sure that that ingredient is added to the mix so that at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the walk-in, you're setting yourself up for success. Now, you will walk in more confident with updated, correct information. Working from a place of strength. Everybody wants to work from a place of strength, and the best way to do that is to have the correct information when you're walking in, when you're navigating to that business, knowing who to ask for and who your gatekeeper is. Also, it builds value in your leads and reduces your overhead expense. I don't know if everybody knows this, but corporate Liberty National purchases Sales Genie's leads from Sales Genie for about 8 cents on the dollar. When you qualify that lead by PAC calling, you increase the value of it to about $8. And then when you walk into the business and put eyes on scene, you're increasing that value of that lead again to about $20. So if you're not PAC calling, you're working with an 8-cent lead. So ask yourself, what value of lead would you absolutely like to work? An 8 cents, an $8, or a $20 lead? Well, PAC calling will allow you to increase the value. Now, preparing for call clinic. First, you got to export your leads from Salesforce the day before call clinic. I mean, Bruce touched on that the other day on his training and pulling leads. And that needs to be based upon your enrollments, your appointments, and schedule follow-ups. But here's a kicker. When you're pulling Sales Genie leads, along with all that, you want to work and pull within a 3 to 4 mile radius. You need to have a business owner's mentality. What's a business owner's mentality? Be accountable for your own success and remember your why. Why are you doing this? I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I hear it all the time throughout the years from my agents. PAC calls are the worst thing. I don't understand why. They're the most easiest thing of our process. All you do is pick up the phone and dial and speak to somebody for 30 to 55 seconds. That's the easiest part of our process. You got to have your script. I've seen it time and time again. People will just try to PAC call off the dome and forget their flow and process and what to say and what to ask for. This keeps you on point and gives you the tools to help verify the lead information. You have to set a goal. Without a goal, you don't know what you're striving for. Completed PACs based upon your 50-50 route, that's 50 follow-ups and 50 new leads. If you're not PAC calling, all you're doing throughout the week is follow-ups on things that you've gone in before. And you're probably running across this if you're doing this, that what are you doing back? You were here yesterday. You were here last week. You need new leads to continue the process. If you're with your leadership, your goal should be 50 PACs every single week. When you're working a new area, your goal should actually be 100 PACs completed. Also, when you're preparing for call clinic, you have to curve all those cravings and distractions. Go to the bathroom, have a snack, get a drink, take your smoke break prior to call clinic. Block out all outside conversations with your colleagues. Listen, When I signed on with Liberty National back in 2009, I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to make money. And so the friends that I've made throughout the years, that's the icing on the cake. But while I'm working in office, I've got to block out those side conversations. I got to block out the Sunday night football talk, the Saturday night NCAA college football talk, all of that. I got to focus on my task at hand. Now, knowing where to PAC call. So I put an illustration up here, right? Select everywhere on your layers. Bruce touched on this the other day in his training. This is just kind of a little small recap to get to where I'm trying to lead y'all. You got to select your worksite appointments, your presentations not closed, WS scheduled follow-ups, worksite hot and warm follow-ups, and all your enrollments that you have scheduled for that week. This is your money. So when it comes to PAC calling, you're going to PAC call around your money areas, your priorities. Now you have the areas in which you need to PAC call. Calling in a small radius, okay? Why is this important? And I'll give you a perfect scenario. Last week, I worked with one of my representatives, and we worked in the largest city in the United States of America, Jacksonville. And Jacksonville has about 50 some odd zip codes. And when we got to running the route, I realized we were going 30 minutes one direction, 30 minutes in another, 30 minutes that way, 30 minutes this way, because a lot of times people will just pull a big old block and just start calling in different areas, different zip codes, without being mindful of when you make that route, you're going to have to go in all those directions, and that decreases your effectiveness out there in the field. Because we have a goal of completing 30 PAC or 30 walk-ins a day. But if you're driving 20 and 30 minutes to the next walk-in to this one, you're decreasing your time in which you can actually get to those 30 walk-ins. So by the end of the day, when you look at your dashboard and you've only got about 15, well, this is why. So why is calling in a small radius important? Answer, it reduces your drive time and allows you for more efficient activity in the day. When pulling your Sales Genie leads on your map, make sure you take these steps. Have the shape selected. Use the tool to the right-hand side. I like and recommend the circle, because the circle actually, you can determine the radius just a little bit better instead of the square or actually drawing the shape. And that's, as you can see, it's right there up underneath that middle, I guess, label with the actions tab right up underneath. It says radius 3.02 miles. And then after making your shape, if you click anywhere in the shape, it will open up the action box, which will allow you to actually see the radius beneath that action box. And remember, keep it within 3 to 5 mile radius. Now, pulling your Sales Genie leads. Once you have your area of high priority, you're going to now select shape under saved layers. This is to actually populate them up on the map. Then select your shape tool. Again, I recommend the circle. It's easier to determine the radius. Expand your shape based upon that desired radius, 3 to 4 miles. Under your saved files, select Sales Genie leads. Last, you're going to go to the layers tab and close out all other layers except for the Sales Genie leads. Like, this is an important step I feel a lot of agents forget to do. So now when they're calling their Sales Genie leads, they've got qualified leads up, they've got their appointments, they've got their enrollments and stuff, and it just looks like a big blob of dots, and it could be confusing to agents. So select that blue, what I call the blue pancake layer, and that shows you what is all up on your map. And close each one out by clicking the X to remove the unwanted layers until all you're left is with the orange dots for Sales Genie. Now the script. The script is the only part of the system that you get to cheat. Use it. Take advantage. I mean, you don't get to use your scripts when you walk into the business. You got to practice those in role playing and windshield training. but this is the only part of the process. You get to have this thing out on your desk, reading it word for word. It will feel more, you'll feel more confident in keeping your flow of process. You won't have to think about it, and use it until you get that muscle memory. Follow the whole script. Don't shortcut or do your own thing. Have integrity. Follow the systems. And also with that integrity, I've heard things before in the past. You know, we're not trying to deceive any company that we're calling. I've heard it. We work for Google. We work for the city. We work for this and that. Follow the script in the process in which it is. Role play with yourself, leadership, or a partner before making that first call. Why do we practice anything before actually doing it? So we can get the dust off. Because what you don't want to do is go right into PAC calling and you haven't practiced. It's just like doing a walk-in. You want to get that flow, that rhythm down before you jump on the phone. When you get objections, use the rebuttals that are listed. They work. After you get an objection and respond to that objection, make sure you ask your question over again. So this is a part that a lot of agents get hung up on when making their PAC call. They might get asked, well, who's the Canton agency? And they'll go, well, the Canton agency is a financial service company. We do a lot of things for a lot of companies, but right now we're verifying information for Duval County. They forget to repeat the question they just asked. This will keep the flow of the conversation based, because in a general conversation environment, if you ask me a question and I answer it, I'm going to ask you a question back and would like a response and an answer. Well, that should drive that answer out from that gatekeeper in which you're on the phone with. So notes, ask if this is the corporate headquarters. I know it's not on the script, but you want to be mindful when you're calling your PAC calls. Ask if it's a corporate headquarters or the main location. And don't forget question number 5. Who did I have the pleasure of speaking with today? This is so important because this is going to set your walk-in up for success right out the gate. Having a name to go in with the person that's sitting at the front desk. Now, your script can be found on page 9 of your new agent training guide, just in case you didn't know that. Now, actually making the call. Remember, time is of the essence in PAC calling. You only have a certain amount of time that's designated specifically to this. So each call should take between an average of 1 to 3 minutes, and that's from dialing to logging, which equals to about 20 per hour. So you have enough time to get 20 PAC calls qualified in an hour's time frame. After you log the lead, call the next one. Block out all distractions. Where a lot of people get hung up and they go, oh, well, I only got 5 qualified PACs done in that hour. It's because after you made that call, you set the phone down and didn't pick it up again for another 3 to 4 minutes. Well, that 3 to 4 minutes, you could have got another 2 PAC calls done. Time is of the essence. Also, don't forget to smile when you're on the phone. Use voice inflections. This gives you transfer of happy emotions to the person at the other end of the phone. I mean, have you ever taken a phone call from somebody and they've just had the worst day ever and they sound so down, sad, and miserable? Well, I guarantee you, if you've had one of those calls, you were trying to get off that phone as fast as you could without ultimately being disrespectful, because it starts to drag you down. So if you sound monotone, you sound boring, well, that person on the other end, they might not want to answer your questions just because of that transfer of emotion didn't hit them. It hit them in a negative way instead of a positive way. You got to be happy. You got to be smiling. You got to be being positive while you're on the phone. Now, logging your PAC call. So when you click on the orange lead, it'll open up the lead information. You will call using this screen. Don't call from the list up underneath the map. Call from the map itself. All the information is right there, and it's easier to log. And it reduces the time frame in which you're logging as well. Now, also remember, if the business owner's name is not listed, use the alternative part of the script in asking the question, who is the decision maker of the business? That will get you a name to put in there. Now, once you've completed your call, you will follow these steps in actually logging. You're going to click actions. You're going to click update address to update the address if needed. Update fields to update the name of the decision maker, the number of employees, and add gatekeeper name to the research. And what my team likes to do, because sometimes we recycle leads, is we include the date and the name of the person in which qualified that PAC call. So we know when this PAC call was last verified and by who. Also, update lead status to qualify the lead. So if you verify all the information and all the information is correct and meets our parameters, you're going to click qualified. If for some reason you call that business and they don't have enough employees and you know that that doesn't qualify for one of the walk-ins that we would normally do, click unqualified. Get that lead out of there so you don't waste time in going into a walk-in with a business that we can't even work with. Then you're going to click save. Okay, don't X off of it. You're going to click save. Then remove it off of the map so that that orange dot, that lead, actually disappears off your map so you don't get confused and click on it later and go, wait a minute, I just called this one. Because that will happen from time to time and you'll get that person back on the phone and they go, didn't you just call me 5 minutes ago? You're going to repeat this process with the next lead over and over and over again until you've met your goal. Note, if you don't make contact, just remove it off of the map and continue on to the next one. Because sometimes when you're calling, you might call and that business doesn't pick up. Or whatever the case may be. If you don't make contact, just remove it off the map real quick and dial the next one immediately. We'll PAC call that one again at a later time and day. Now, what actually qualifies the lead? Verifying the address is correct. Verifying the decision maker's first and last name. Y'all, we got to get first and last names. Okay. A lot of times I look at some leads and we got first name and then it says NA for last name and stuff. Well, I've experienced going into a walk-in and asking for the business owner's name and they go, which one? And I'm like, how many doggone people here got the same name? Well, just turns out that there was a partnership of 3 partners and they all had the same first name. And I had no last name to go off of. And I'm like, I guess just give me one of them. I'll go from there. Verifying they have 5 employees or more, getting the gatekeeper's name, and confirming whether this is the main location or headquarters. Now, if you did not get all of this information, it is not qualified. Sometimes I get asked, hey, I got the address, but I didn't get the name or the employees verified. Can I qualify it? No. Remove it off your map, call it again at a later time. Now, the do's and don'ts. What you want to do is call every lead by phone and speak to a live person. It is not qualified by any other means. Call with intention and purpose. Understand why you're doing this. Smile when you're on the phone. Be happy. Use voice inflections. Stay focused on task at hand. You need to qualify enough leads for the week. A lot of times, if you don't qualify enough leads, it's a struggle towards the end of the week. You don't have enough places to go. So you need to really build your business here. Have a business owner's mindset. You're operating a business. You have to do what it takes to succeed every single day, every single week. Don't verify with Google, Chat GPT, answering machines. Sometimes I get asked, hey, they didn't pick up, but the voicemail said their address and all this other stuff. And I'm like, you didn't talk to nobody. Don't verify it. Don't just go through the motions. Just don't feel you're PAC calling because your agency director, your SA, or your GA said you had the PAC call. Understand you're doing it with a purpose. Don't sound boring or monotone. Don't get distracted. and settle for mediocre. Okay. If you got 10 completed in the first hour, don't settle for that. Reset the goal back to where it should be for the next hour and strive and drive it home to hit it. Don't be an employee. Okay. Be a business owner. Don't just do it because your leadership told you to do so. Do it because you need to. Now, the final recap. PAC calling is a must. Without PAC calling, you are not following the system and planning for success. Period. You got to set goals. Strive towards the finish line, blocking out all distractions. This is your paycheck on the line. 50 a week if you're with manager, 100 when you're working a new area. Have a business owner's mindset. Grow your business. Nobody's stopping you but you. Build value and decrease your overhead expense. Work with integrity and intention. Know why you're doing it and the importance behind it. And build a culture. Use your script. When it's PAC call time, that room should be echoing and sounding like a telemarketer room. Like, have you ever gotten a phone call from a telemarketer and you hear like hundreds of people in the background doing the same thing? That's the type of culture it should be in your office during PAC call time. So with all that, when you're back in office on Friday, remember some of these key steps and components and really do what it takes to own your business. I appreciate everybody's time, and hopefully y'all got some value out of this.
Yeah, that was good, Johnny, man. Thank you so much for that. You know, I took several notes over here, and I know we're getting close to the 3 o'clock mark. But one of the things that I got to thinking about, you know, I love the fact that in our business as entrepreneurs owning our own business, you know, we get to set our goals as high as we want. We can work toward that. Nobody tells us that we're worth X anymore. And when you talk about, I can take a lead from 8 cents and one phone call move the value to $8, that just increased at $7.20. That one phone call increased at $7.20. Well, I did the math. If I'm getting 20 an hour, that means that's $144 an hour of lead conversion. In other words, that's increasing my profitability by $144 an hour. So when I'm in the field, my walk-ins are more profitable, my results are more often, and my closed cases come quicker. So, so much good information here. The removing the pins. Once you've found an area where you have the most follow-up and building, you know, extracting your sales genie leads in that small circle, guys, a 3-mile radius is 6 miles across. And by optimizing your route to run efficiently, you'll be able to get into more business within that small circle. When you're asking for referrals, you'll be able to get more referrals in that area because neighbors know neighbors of businesses. And they're all within a rock's throw of each other. So powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. One more thing, and then Bruce, I'll let you add something if you want. Johnny said, make sure you're qualifying it, not verifying it. I'm not doing these calls to verify the data. I'm doing these calls to qualify the lead. If it's not qualified, check it unqualified, remove it. Because if you've already found out it doesn't qualify, don't waste your time to walk in. And so many times, because we made the call, we want to check it as qualified when it's really a non-qualified. Go ahead and mark it as a non-qualified. So when you're building your route, you're not building it with businesses and wasting your time walking into somebody who doesn't qualify for your benefits. Johnny, great job. Team, this is recorded, as are all the trainings, all 8 steps you'll have access to. But Bruce, I'm going to let you close it out.
Woo! Come on now, let's go. Lock in, baby. This is the moment. Everything we've been talking about is about putting the pressure on the process. Stop putting the pressure on you. All we want to do is give you the process to lean on, and let's just make sure that we're focused. And so, Johnny, great job, man. I really enjoyed today's training. I'm sure everybody got a lot of value from it. I'm really excited for this coming Thursday training. You don't want to miss it. Let's keep rocking it out and lock in, baby. It's time.
It's time. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much. Finish strong today. We'll see y'all Thursday morning at 7:30 for the fourth step in the process. Have a great day.